Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since we did our last video, and I've been trying to remind myself to do an Elvis related video because a lot of people watch the Elvis videos. I was going to do a review, but I thought I'd do something else. I thought I would rank all of his albums from the 50s. So I'm going to basically rank all the full-length LP releases that were released by RCA Victor in the USA in the 50s. So I don't have any imports besides American versions of the albums. And I'm going to include the compilations, Date with Elvis, the Golden Records albums, and for LP fans only. I'm going to include the movie soundtracks, and also going to include the Christmas album, because the only 3 studio albums technically that Elvis did was his first 2 and his Christmas album. So in total that's 9 albums. So I just started to get straight into the video, to be honest. So at number 9 is the Christmas album. Now Christmas has just passed, so I did listen to this a few times. It's not a bad album or anything. It's actually the best-selling Christmas album of all time, and it's, I think, Elvis's best-selling album, or at least the reissue was. I mean, this is quite hard to find the original US copies with this really nice gatefold cover. But yeah, it's just plain and simple for the fact that it only gets played around Christmas time. You can't really play it, any other time of the year. And it's also, I would say, I would just probably rather listen to all the other albums besides this. If I was to choose one, probably out of the 50s, but you can only listen to it around Christmas time, so it does make sense for me to put it in last place, I think. So up next, to be honest, with all these, it's really hard to sort of rank them because they could really interchange quite easily. I know with his first 2 albums, they interchange quite a lot for me. And I'm also trying a new camera angle. I've got a new desk, so I'm putting the camera on the desk, seeing how it works. And I apologise for the wind and my creaky chair that I'm sat on. But I'm just making do with what I've got. So up next is the film soundtrack from 1958, King Creole. Now, I reviewed this last year, and I said it could be his best soundtrack album, I think. And it could be, to be honest, but I've put it below Loving You for this ranking. And I got to admit, I probably should have listened to all these albums individually before I did the ranking, but I'm just going off last time I heard them. I mean, I've not listened to some of these albums in quite a few months. I've not listened to King Creole in quite a while. But it's a great album. I mean, this is a very nice mid-60s mono copy from the UK that I've got. On the Red Dot label. It's quite clean, except the cover's just got a bit of creasing in it, and it plays really well. It sounds really good, and from what I've heard people say online, I think the mono copies from the UK sound pretty good. But the whole of side 1 on this album is absolutely fantastic. I'd say every song is probably a 10 out of 10. King Creole, As Long As I Have You, a great ballad. Hard-Headed Woman, a #1 single for Elvis. Trouble, which was sort of more famously done in his 68 comeback special, and the Dixieland Rock, which closes the album. And then you've got great songs on the second side, like Don't Ask Me Why, Love a Doll, I really like that song. Young Dreams, that's a great song. I think I just prefer Loving You though, to be honest. I think that's just mainly the reason why I've put it this low. But having said that, I would still probably rate this album an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. I mean, all of Elvis's 50s albums, though they didn't reach the highs of some of the other points in his career, in my opinion, his 50s, when it comes to the 50s, his 50s is his most consistent period by far, in comparison to the 60s and the 70s. Because in the 60s he had loads of movies, he had so much material, it's impossible for all of it to be spotless from really bad songs. And then the 70s, mostly was good. It's just that some stuff was just sort of middle of the road compared to the other stuff. Whereas the 50s, it was all really great. I mean, Elvis was still breaking out. He was he was a novelty. He was a new phenomenon. So it's all pretty great. All the music he did in the 50s. And then up next, I've done Golden Records Volume 2. Now this is a really nice, clean 1960 original mono press from the UK on the large silver spot label. This is pristine copy. It used to have quite a bit of dirt on the cover as well, and I managed to clear all that off. And I'm sorry for the glare, I didn't take these out of their sleeves because I don't really want But honestly, like, I prefer the UK version to the US version because the UK version has 4 extra songs. It has Loving You, Teddy Bear, and Jailhouse Rock and Treat Me Nice. So that makes the album even better, even though those featured on the US version of Golden Records 1. But honestly, like, I Need Your Love Tonight, what a great song that is. Great guitar solo by, I think it's Hank Garland. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that who's playing it? I think it is. Wear My Ring Around Your Neck, what a great song. I Beg of You. I actually prefer the alternate master of that on the like 50s box set they released in the 90s. Like, I love the alternate version of that. That one's a bit weaker, in my opinion. A Big Hunk of Love, great rocking song. A Fool Such As I, great country guitar riff. And on One Night, Elvis plays the lead guitar, which is quite good. However, there's just a few songs on here that I'm just not as keen on. My Wish Came True, I don't care for that song too much. That might be one of my least favourite Elvis songs from the 50s. Don't You Think It's Time, it just doesn't really do much for me. And Don't, even though it is a good ballad and a lot of people probably rave about it, I actually would just skip this compared to some of the other rock and roll songs on this album. I don't know why. It's a great song. It's a good song. I just don't know why. I just wouldn't go to it as much as the others. I mean, I Got Stung as well. That's another great rocking song. And that was actually the last song that Elvis recorded in the 50s before he went to the army. And then he didn't record anything else until he came back from the army, officially. So that was number 7. Up next, we've got Loving You. This is a really nice second press because there's the black text. The original press doesn't have the black text. I have got an original US, but it's just not as in good shape, so I'll probably get rid of it. But yeah, the vinyl plays amazing on this. This is a great soundtrack album. I mean, this could be just another studio album. I mean, these songs really don't feel like movie songs at all. I mean, on King Creole, you had 1 or 2 songs like Love a Doll or Steadfast, Loyal and True, which sort of felt like movie songs. These songs don't feel like movie songs. Like, they could easily just be another studio album. I mean, the whole second side is just songs cut by Elvis in early 1957. I mean, the first side opens up with Mean Woman Blues. What a great song. Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, an absolute classic. Loving You, great ballad. Got a Lot of Living to Do, just a great up-tempo rocking song. Lonesome Cowboy, very interesting song. Very unlike a lot of the other songs that Elvis did ever, really, especially in the 50s. That's a great song. Hot Dog, I love that song. I don't care what some people say, I love that song. It's a great short rock and roll song. And Party, another classic rock and roll song. I mean, Led Zeppelin covered it. It's, you know, that song's sort of one of those classic rock and roll songs that a lot of people have covered, I think. And then the second side, even though I don't really care for True Love, I love Blueberry Hill, Have I Told You Lately That I Love You. I mean, that's one of my favourite Elvis 50 songs, Have I Told You Lately. And the last song, I Need You So, like, that is an amazing vocal performance by Elvis, to say he was still in the early phase of his career. That is a fantastic album. All these albums are great from this point. Now, these next two, I really go back and forth on which one I think is better. And it's really hard to choose which one is better. However, I think I know which one I like more, but it's very, very close. So up next is his classic debut album. I mean, that is just an absolutely classic album cover. I mean, it's just so recognisable, it's iconic, the pink and green text, the cover of Elvis. I mean, it's so rebellious, it's just so different to everything else at the time. I mean, it's just a true classic, this album. And if there's anything that Elvis is going to be remembered for, it's going to be this album. Even though, in my opinion, it's like, I don't even know if this is in my top 10 Elvis albums of all time. I mean, I think he obviously recorded much more mature, more realised pieces and a more, you know, meaningful songs later in his career, I'd say. But in terms of the influence, I mean, you just ask any rock star from the 60s or any rock band, you're spanning across so many different artists from the 60s and 70s. They will always, I mean, surely most of them would have bought this album in the 50s. I mean, it's just so influential. If there's anything Elvis is going to be remembered for, it's going to be this album. It's just that influential. It's just that, basically. However, it's a bit patchy in my opinion when it comes to the songs. There is some absolutely classic, fantastic songs, don't get me wrong. Blue Suede Shoes, I Got a Woman, Just Because, and then you've got, you know, One Side of Love Affair. On the second side, you've got Trying to Get to You, great song, Money Honey. It's just, it's a bit incohesive for me because they use tracks from the January 56 sessions at, or the Heartbreak Hotel sessions from January 56, but they also blend in with they also blend in more Sun recordings. However, the Sun recordings aren't even that strong, some of them. I mean, I Love You Because and I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darling are really not they're good songs, but like they're not the strongest Sun songs. Like they're not exactly Mystery Train or That's Alright. The UK version, the original UK version is like hundreds of pounds, but I have the 70s reissue and the track listing I think is just far better. It's got Shake, Rattle and Roll, Mystery Train, That's Alright. I think it's got Lordy Miss Claudie. I mean, I love Lordy Miss Claudie. I don't know why they didn't put those songs on the original US version. That was a German version, but it had the same track list as the US version. Now, if that was the UK version, that could possibly be top 3. However, I actually think I prefer his second album. Is it better than his first? I actually really don't know. Is it more influential? I mean, it's probably the same, to be honest. I mean, this album is pretty much the same as his first album, except it's not compiled with Sun recordings. This is like, when you come to Elvis' studio albums in the 50s, along with his Christmas album, this is sort of the only one he went to record just to record it. I mean, he recorded his debut, he recorded some songs from it, but half of that, his debut album, is Sun material. This is all songs recorded from sessions specifically to record an album, which is like one of the few times Elvis did that in the 50s, at least when it came to studio albums. I mean, that's just a great album cover. Again, the original UK versions of this just go for insane amounts of money. This is a mid, like an early 60s reissue. However, it's really not in great condition. It may look okay, but it's not in that amazing condition. However, you got Rip It Up. You got 3 Chuck Berry covers on here. Not Chuck Berry, sorry, forgive me. Little Richard covers on here, which are just absolutely amazing. Rip It Up, Long Tall Sally, and Ready Teddy. Ready Teddy is just an absolute fiery rock and roll song. It's got an amazing guitar solo by Scotty Moore. I mean, it's just an absolutely energetic performance. But you've got great up-tempo songs like When My Blue Moon Turns to Gold Again, and Paralysed, and then So Glad You're Mine. That was left off the debut, I don't know why. I mean, there's some great songs in here. My least favourite is probably First in Line or Old Shep, but they're actually really great songs, I think. Bit more close to perfection than his first album, I would say. There's just some fantastic songs on that album. Okay, so we're in the top 3 now, and these 3, I've loved these 3 albums. I've all loved since I first got into Elvis. I mean, these 3 albums were the albums I played the most, along with his debut when I first got into Elvis. In those first few months I listened to Elvis, I mean, I just couldn't stop listening to these albums. 3rd place, I've got For LP Fans Only. Now, this is just a fantastic compilation of songs that weren't released on albums that he recorded with RCA and Sun material, but it's great Sun material. I mean, you've got That's Alright, the legendary song that kicked off his recording career. Lordy Miss Claudie, I just love that song so much. Mystery Train, fantastic guitar riff. I mean, it's just Elvis, Scotty and Bill, and it just sounds amazing. Playing for Keeps, that's left off the second album. My Baby Left Me, absolutely fantastic rocking song. Shake, Rattle and Roll, another one of my personal favourites. And then You're a Heartbreaker, I'm Left, You're Right, She's Gone. Both Sun recordings, just great Sun recordings. And the only song that's kind of weak is Poor Boy, and that's from the Love Me Tender film, just because it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the songs because it's a movie song, but it's still a good song. Now that's just a great album. I mean, these top 3 albums are all essential rock and roll albums, I'd say. The second album, which I think is just a bit stronger than For LP Fans Only, is A Date with Elvis. Just a bit stronger in terms of the compilation, just because the movie songs on this album are from Jailhouse Rock, and Jailhouse Rock, every single movie song on that album is just fantastic. I mean, and also the Sun recordings, they're also just great. Again, Blue Moon of Kentucky, the B-side to That's Alright, Good Rockin' Tonight, I Forgot to Remember to Forget, I love that song. Baby Let's Play House, I think the Beatles really like that song in particular. I mean, it's just got some great lyrics to it. Milk Cow Blues Boogie, and then you got the Jailhouse Rock songs, I Don't Care, Baby You're So Square, Young and Beautiful, I Want to Be Free, and then you've got another Love Me Tender movie song, We're Gonna Move. But I just love this song. I mean, this is like, it's like a 20-minute album, and it just goes like that, and all the songs are just great. It's a great compilation of songs. In the 50s, RCA really had it well with compiling Elvis's songs that he hadn't yet released on album. In the 50s, they got it right. In the 70s, not so much. And now, number one, it can't be any other album for me. I mean, if you're including all the compilations, this is like one of the top 3 Elvis albums. Regardless of whether it's a studio album, a movie album, a compilation, if you're talking about Elvis albums you should own, this is one of the best. I mean, this is the essential 50s album for Elvis. His Golden Records, Volume 1. This is original 1958 press. It's in okay condition. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, I'll take it. It's a US import from the 50s. But this is just a classic. I mean, I love that cover, classic cover. But for the time that this was released, no other artist was doing anything like this. No artist had a selection of songs where half the songs were #1 singles and they could all be released on the same album and they were all songs from the space of 2 years. It was just unprecedented from the time, and I think this sort of went on to start the trend of compilations and greatest hits. I mean, it is sort of the original greatest hits album for any artist. I mean, it's quite groundbreaking. I mean, the first side, you have Hound Dog, Loving You, All Shook Up, Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock. All Shook Up, Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock, all in a row. Love Me Too Much. 5 of those songs, I'm pretty sure, yes, 5 of those songs were all #1 singles and they were all released in the space of 2 years. I mean, on the second side, you've got Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, Don't Be Cruel, I Want You, I Need You, I Love You. I mean, there's just some fantastic songs on this album. I mean, that's the essential 50s album. Besides his debut, it's absolutely the essential 50s album. It's more essential than his debut, though, I think, just because of the song quality. I mean, every song is just a hit. And half those songs are #1 singles. I mean, that's just absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, that was my ranking of Elvis's 50s albums. Maybe I'll one day do his 60s albums if I end up owning them all on vinyl. That might take a long time, though, because he does have some albums that I really don't like in the 60s. And then in the 70s, I might also do that one day. I think I might do his studio album rankings at some point from all of his career, all of his studio albums. You could do many different rankings for Elvis. You could rank all his movie albums, all his studio albums. So I'll probably do another Elvis review at some point, and I'll do some more artists after this video. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how your ranking would look. And I'll see you in the next one. Feel free to leave your comments in, Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.